Yo, 1 2 1, mic check. Um, I've been working on the same finance app from last time, and I had a change of heart about how it should go and how it should flow and what it should capture. Because at first I just allowed you to put in an as a client to the website to put in whether you wanted to put in an asset or a liability, and I made that up. But this is the update since then. That's all in the past. This is what we're looking at right now. So all that just to say, I had a accounting philosophy in the past, which like separated everything, separated assets from liabilities, and I updated it in such a way that the concept now is I want to put everything together and see how those things interact and be able to express that through my general ledger type of thing. So this is what I have so far since I've been trying to implement that kind of logic to it. Um, I want to start by the database, to be honest, because that's what's the most work. Um, this is how it goes. It goes from you create a user, of course, and that user can have an entity. An entity would be I would be my personal self, so I would have an account for myself, and I could also have a business, and I would have an account for my business or my three different businesses. So it needs to be like that because you need to have separation between entities and their accounting ledgers and stuff like that. You can't put your personal accounting where your business accounting go. So that's the purpose of having different entities. And you could see here how it looks is I have all these different entities, and only one of them is my personal account type of thing. So it goes from your user to your entities, and what your entities can do is do things that have economic impact, financial impact, or stuff like that. So that's when you do something that's an economic event. You do something, and because of that something, there's a value attached to it somehow, and we track that as our general ledger, stuff that goes into our accounting books. Like you might have got a loan and used that to buy a car, stuff like that. So we would call that an event and kind of try to track what happened holistically, like taking the aspect that you got a loan and you um use that loan to buy a car and put that into our general ledger as an economic event, as one thing that happened. So it went from a separate assets liabilities type of thinking to like maybe this is how these two things interact, and this is really about explaining the idea behind how I ended up thinking to try implementing it that way. And so yeah, it goes, you create a user, that user can create entities, and um an entity could have events that have to do with finances basically. And what happens is that for every event that takes place, there are certain effects we have to take into account. um there might be things that happen on the credit side, and there might be things that happen on the debit side, and that's where the effect sign comes in. um there might be a tax implication on that. If it's an expense, is it a deductible expense and stuff like that? No, so we want to flag in what category of tax it belongs to, and we could check. I have a type of predefined tax treatment values, which looks currently like just ordinary income, capital gains. This is how my tax categories look right now. I would want to that shows up as one of the effects, so it's separate from the event. So I'm not saying that what happened in my accounting has a tax impact inherently, but it has a tax. I'm saying the event itself doesn't have a tax implication inherently, because it depends whether I'm a business doing that, or I'm a person doing that. So we see that there I had capital gains and stuff like that, and income at the same time. So what would be shown to me for tax treatment options as a personal account, as a personal entity, would be different, but it would all come from this list. Um, mm, I'm lost in translations, but let's get back to the table. So we said we have a user that can make multiple entities, and that entities could have things that happen in the world that cause economic events to happen, that cause financial impacts. So we record those as economic events, and those events have effects. Things might go into the credit side of our ledger, things might go into the debit side of our ledger, and we have different interpretations of the event that occurred. So the tax situation of it might be treated this way, it might be treated another way, it might be a deductible or not. Um, and that's usually tied into the type of account it is. But the event is tied to an entity, not anymore. It's tied to an account right now. So the best way to show the accounts table is to show the accounts table. Um, the accounts table is basically the general ledger of the whole thing. So you see here that we have a bunch of accounting codes, and that's how my ledger is made up right now, by using these different accounting codes and stuff like that. And we try to say for each type, it could either be a debit. So if it's an income, it would probably be flagged as an asset. If it's a if it's an expense, it will be flagged as a loss or something, stuff like that. Go into this column. Let me see if I could find a good example. So what's a credit? What goes into my credit columns is equity and stuff like returned earnings, I guess. But this is where I lose my mojo, because I'm not really sure about these things. Um we have stuff that goes into our income statement, like equity column. So we would have I guess this could be seen as equity, but yeah, we would pull those accounts from this, because we would have that for my entity. My entity did do something like this, and it was tied to this amount type of value system, and so we could do that. And if I have rows here, like you see that I want to to see with something else. That's a good example, but I want a different one. It's really hard to make sure things work like they're supposed to. So I should chill because I'm frantically running around the database right now. But that's not what I want. I want to show that each account happenstance that happen is tied to an entity, and we get this basically. What happens is that if I'm an account, if I'm Donda, I will have financial statements that I can pull from based on the entity that I am. It'll pull from those accounts tables and find the accounts that I as a person um, made based upon my economic events and the effects that they had. And so it works like I would be a user and I would be using this entity, and for that entity I would have economic events that take place, like I might get a loan to buy a car, and so I might get cash assets and liability assets in the same time. And that's how this is how you would put that in to the accounting system here. You would say a loan was received, and you would say to buy car type of thing, and then you would say I received cash that was worth 15,000, and I incurred a liability that was worth um that was worth so this would be on your credit side and this would be on your debit side, I hope. And that's when I have to make sure I understand what I'm doing by checking stuff like the dealer method. Liabilities go on debit. No, they don't. Okay. Okay, where does cash go then? Man. Assets is increased by debit. Okay, but you get the point. This is where I trip at. This is where I trip at. I could use my accounting ledger, which is gonna fact check me. To check what this goes into debit, and I guess apparently according to this dealer method, a liability would go into the credit side. So it should look like this, and voila. You could also say, well, I used 10,000 of this, a loan for 10,000, and I also put in 5,000 of my own money. So I don't know how you put that in accounting terms, but I'm just gonna try to equate these by saying both of these are credits, and I should put it as an expense, right? Not this expense though. Sales revenue. Should I put it as a marketing expense? Okay, the car is used for marketing. Fuck it. I hope an expense is on the right side. Expenses are debit. Expenses are debit now. I need a credit, goddamn. I fuck it. for this example, expenses are fucking credit. God damn it. God damn it. Not balanced. Okay, okay, okay. Let me see. Let me see if it balances. Not balanced. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. I don't know how to do accounting. I know how to code though. What is this? Debit. Okay. I need a credit now. And we just play it safe. Why is it not balanced? Okay, this is not where I'm supposed to be putting that. Ah, shit. And then you go this way, but then I have something to fix about that. That's how come everything is zeroed out right now because I can't really put in amounts, and I don't really want to yet because I'm not done setting up my financial statements and stuff like that. But you see here that I have yearly statements set up and monthly statements set up. I haven't set up quarterly statements yet. A logic to do that. Um, if you pick a period, what happens is this comes from all the things that my entity did that affected my account table. This is where I would see those things. I would see those things right here in this column. It would show me all the assets I bought for the period, all the things and all the things that are relating to my equity and stuff like that. So that would have something to do with me finding ways to implement an income statement, but I would have these lists. This is how those things would show up um, over here in these columns and stuff like that. Um, I still have boilerplate placed in some place. So, because this is a retail business, you also have a specialized retail account section that I'm not done working with. If it was a different type of business, if it was a hospitality business, you would have a room sales instead of whatever I had before. And if it was a personal account, you would still have your KPIs, you would still have your ledger, be able to put things nicely in there. I would like to automate this process though, but you see that you can have all different types of things that happen. We say these are event types, but you could put in there in your ledger and still get the same types of statements a business would, even if it's a personal account. But you have this specialized section here where you could put in salaries, expenses, and transfer between accounts type of thing. I haven't made many different types of accounts yet, but after that, I will make sure that these things work and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically how it looks right now, and that's the direction we're trying to take it. Cause really, I thought about this implementation of that thing that I'm still trying to implement right now, which was really like, if I'm a business, I don't just get a loan and it just ends up as a loan, and I don't just have an asset and just got it from nowhere. I spent cash for that asset, and um I used that loan to buy something, and that's when I ended up deciding to have this kind of ledger set up here, where you could say I accumulated this much cash of um because of a loan and stuff like that. Fuck, I don't have that set up for my personal, but I have it set up for my business side of things though. That way, where you could say This bitch is pissing me off. Um, oh my, she saved me from this foolishness. Um, yeah, we have access to liabilities now. I have a liability. I have a loan received, and because of that loan, I have cash now. And the loan would be, fuck it. The loan would be based upon dealer methods type of thing. Based upon this type of ledger structure here, which is implemented right here, based on IFRS standards, of course, type of thing. Right here, everything that should be a credit is normalized to a credit. Everything that should be a debit is normalized to a debit in the database, depending on what kind of account it is. So we have all this general ledger terminology here, where we have things set up where this is how they look, man. Shit. But this was 20 minutes and it was long as fuck. And I don't know if my point was made still. I still feel a bit iffy. But I want to show the functions, but I won't do that. And I'll show around the functions a little bit. I'll show around the functions a little bit. So we have to generate those things. We use these hooks thingies here, where we call entities, periods, statements, um, statements, events. We call different types of objects from the database, and this is how I would pull a statement. And I don't really want this. It's not what I really want. Is this what I want? Nope. I might not find what I want. Gotta be here somewhere. I think it might be this one, but this is where, no, it's not, nigga. And no, it's not this one neither. Yeah, but this is where we would pull things that you as an entity have in your general ledger. So we would pull all the accounts that you put money into, tell you what type of thing that was, what type of event that was, economic event. So that's why we have the general ledger, because it covers all the types of spectrum of business transactions that could happen, what amount it was for. These are about how far I have to dig into my statement of accounts to see. It's basically trying to implement this structure right here. This structure right here, where you have non-current assets and you have a folder for that, and you have current assets and you have a folder for that. So that's what we try to implement here, basically. Where's that? Over here, where if you try to generate SOTP, you would have your assets list, your liabilities list, and your equities list. And if you try to generate something else, you would have things that have to do with profits and losses, and things that have to do with cash flow statements, and you could come here to post to run your full financial statements, but I'm not done implementing those features yet, type of thing. I just have the basic structure set up now, and I like how it looks. And I don't think we've created an entity to see what happens when you get one. So we're gonna make Donda 2, which was trash low key, not gonna lie. But I usually like to just pick the basic business template. I get all the good stuff from it, and it's customized to be a full bucket type of thing. So I know I'm covered type of thing. It looks the same. Otherwise, everything else. Thank you for watching this tech talk.